Okay, solve quadratic equations by factoring. Okay, and then I can abbreviate it over here. Okay, 66. Okay, and this is the 5th. Lesson, we just said 31. Did that sound right? No, that's not right. It was 27, wasn't it? Yeah. Solve, and I'm going to abbreviate this. Solve quadratic equations by factoring. Now, we'll talk more specific about there being different ways to solve quadratic equations, but right now I'm just interested in doing them by what they are. That's really our big, if we can get this first page of notes, then we should be good to go, at least for most of your classwork. So let's talk about equations. It's been quite a while since we've done equations. We've been doing expressions and we've done functions, graphing them. So let's talk about what a linear function is. Actually, a linear equation. And then we're going to talk about a quadratic equation. Oh, wait a minute, sorry. Oh, good night. What happened to my... Okay. Yes?
Harrison is trying to get onto the Zoom.
Okay. And I need to tell Harrison he's got moved to another class, but this is really a lesson he needs to see because they've already covered it.
She told me he wasn't late.
Okay. Well, he had tried earlier, and I thought he was in here.
Did he move to the
General.
He can tell you what he wants to tell you. Harrison, you are now in either my 5th or 6th block. You need to check with the office to see what your schedule is. And this lesson they've already covered. But it would be a good idea for you to go ahead and watch it. And then if you'll get your schedule, then you can Zoom with us this afternoon with this next assignment, because this one is the one that you really need. Did you hear me? Yes or no? Harrison, can you hear me? Yes. Did you hear what I said? Okay, so I would suggest you stay with us, get these notes, and then I don't know about the lesson number, and then you need to come back during whatever class. So you definitely need to probably email the office to get your schedule, because I don't know how much it's changed. Okay? Best I can tell you. Okay, let me pick up a different notebook, because that is, I did it a little bit better in the regular Algebra 2 class, and I like the way I did it for them. Okay, linear equation and linear function. Okay, okay, let's do this. Let's do this, okay. Equations you solve, and functions you graph. So these are two we should know. A basic linear equation is something like x plus 7 equals 10. I mean, that's a linear equation. You know, 2x minus 12. And what the whole deal is, it's going to have to do with the exponent of the x, and we'll talk about that in just a second. A linear function is going to be like, what do we know? Y equals mx plus b. But before we do that, let's go up here. Linear equations have one solution, and they have a degree of 1. Equals 1. Now that is the exponent of the variable. That's where that 1 comes from. That's what degree means. That's an Algebra 1 lesson. I doubt you remember that, but it's something that we do talk about. Now, a linear function is y equals mx plus b. Remember, has an x and a y in it, ordered pairs. Y can be f of x. It graphs a line. And let's see if I had anything else on here. And it's degree 1 also. See, x has a 1 exponent of 1. You're looking at the exponent of the x. Okay, so we're interested in quadratic equations. A quadratic equation so we're going to solve it. Let's go over here and do this. We're solving. We will graph quadratic functions here pretty soon. Is of the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0 with always 2 solutions. And I just put a decimal point there, a point there, the degree is 2. Now, that comes from right here. See this 2? It's the exponent, the highest exponent you see of your variable. And so the degree is 2. It has 2 solutions. A linear equation has 1 solution, degree 1, and that does go together. A degree of 3, which we will do, have 3 solutions, and so on. We'll discuss that as we go through it. So that's where we're stepping up just a little bit. There are several ways to solve them. We're going to start with factoring. We'll have to get through it today, and we can. You have what's called the zero product property. Okay, and everybody's been able to tell me, it's actually right up here, if, still there from before Christmas, if A times B equals 0, or 3 things, or 4 things, if you have 2 things multiplied together equals 0, what do you know has to be true? If I'm going to multiply 2 numbers together and the answer has to be 0, what has to be true? One of them has to be 0. A equals 0, or, and that or is important, it's not and, B equals 0. It can be both of them 0, but it doesn't have to be. It has to be at least one of them. Now we're going to do the very basic quadratic equation. Number 1, x squared plus 5x minus 14 equals 0. Now it's in what we call quadratic form. It's in that form where everything's on one side. I like it on the left, but I've got everything equal to 0. And you really, to make factoring easier, you want the number in front of the x squared to be positive. So that's a positive 1 in front of it. Now, how do I know it's quadratic? It has degree 2. See it right there? How many answers is it going to have?
2 answers.
2 answers. So we're going to take our skills that may be rusty from before Christmas, and we're going to factor it. Now we put the equal 0 there because you would have never thought about dropping the equal 10 off, but a lot of people think equal 0, that's not important. It's an equation. It has to have an equals, and it has to have numbers, things on both sides. Now, go back to our skills, Algebra 1, first semester, Algebra 2. When this is a 1, we love it. It has to be x and x, and then 14 can either be 1 and 14 or 2 and 7. Now remember, it's negative, so one of them's going to have to be positive negative, and then they've got to add to a positive 5. All I'm interested in is just the 5. I'm not interested in the signs right now. So will 1 and 14 or 2 and 7 give me a 5?
It would be 7 minus 2.
Okay, it's 7 and 2.
Yeah.
Now, which way do the signs have to go? Negative 2 and positive 7. Now, let's use our zero product property to find our answer. If 2 things are multiplied together equals 0, then one of these has to equal 0. X minus 2 equals 0, or x plus 7 equals 0. At this point, this step is required. In this lesson, that's usually the only lesson I require it. This is required to show that step because people forget why it does what it does. And it's all back to this property. This is a linear, add 2, x equals 2. There's one answer. You put 2 in, you got 2 squared plus 10 minus, you got 4 plus 10 minus 14 is 0. That one checks. That one is correct. Subtract 7, and you get x equals -7. And if you put it in, you'll get 49 minus 35 minus 14, which is also 0. There's your two answers that work in that quadratic. Wonderful, rational answers. Wonderful, rational. We're only doing rational today. We're not doing square roots. We're not, like square root of 7, we're not doing complex numbers, which are coming very quickly. Because every quadratic has two answers, but they're not all nice, pretty numbers. Let's do 7m squared plus 4m plus 30 equals 0. Now, I'm going to go ahead and put my parentheses, but I may have to go over here to side and do some work. Because remember, when this is not a 1, we love it because it's prime, so we know it has to be 7m and m. Because both of these are positive, we know both of these are positive. We love that. Now, here's the kicker. 30, 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10, 4, 5 and 6. Is that all of them? Yeah. Is that right? Okay, now, if you start putting these numbers in and start trying them, you know, 1 here, and I always say start at the most common one in your multiplication tables. So if I start with 5 and 6, I get a 5m, and I get a, what's that, a 6? I get a 42m. Well, 5m and 42m will not give me a 4 in the middle. Okay, now we have to turn it around. Let's put the 6 here and the 5 here. So I have 6m and 35m. That won't give me a 4, and I have a feeling I have this copied down wrong. That's supposed to be a 41m instead of 4. I was fixing to say, I don't think this is going to work with a 4. I thought something's not looking right. Okay, then you get a 6m and you get a 35m, because I was thinking that was my answer, and those do add to my 41. Now there's my two factors. Now what are my two answers? Put the required step as of today. Now again, I'm not going to make you keep doing this because we're going to put the calculator into it to help us. We're going to do a lot of calculator factoring stuff with this. So I get -6. I get 7m equals -6. Divide by 7, and we get m equals -6/7. Now, I can plug that in and square it, multiply it by 7, add 41 times m, and get it to give me 0. But in that case, I mean, it's just, we've done, if your arithmetic is right, that's going to check. That's a rational number. It's on the number line. M plus 5 minus 5, we get m equals -5. Always two answers. Okay, everybody good? Number 3.